Alright, today we're looking at this new scooter by Rictor. It is their S9 and it's their most powerful new scooter that they have out right now. On paper, it looks really good, but in this in-depth review we're going to do today, we're going to find out if it's really good in reality. And I want to thank Rictor for sending this scooter out for this review. They are not paying me to make this video, however, I do get to keep this scooter, which is awesome. However, like all reviews on the channel, all reviews and thoughts are my own and not controlled by Rictor. So here's how this video is going to work. It's going to be broke down into 5 different sections. First, unboxing, specs, and features. Next, ride and how it feels. Followed by performance, which we'll look at range, speed, and acceleration. We'll take a look at safety, how good is it for children, and what other special safety features does this scooter have, which it has some pretty unique ones. And then we'll close with talking about the value and who is this scooter for. Alright, so here's what it looks like inside of the box when you open it up. So lots of styrofoam, everything looks really secure. They actually had a box inside of a box. So the chances of damage during shipping is gonna be pretty low. Alright, now as far as what comes inside of the box, obviously you get the scooter, you get some screws to put the scooter together, you get a battery charger, and you get a manual. First step's put on the handlebars. Then we'll put in these screws that actually come with Loctite on them, which is the first time I've seen that in a review. And after about 10 minutes, you're ready to plug it in and get it charged and ready for its first ride. Now let's dive into the specs on the scooter. You get what they call a turbocharged 500 watt motor. It's capable of 15.53 miles per hour or 25 kilometers before it is unlocked. And then after it is unlocked, 40 kilometers or 25 miles per hour. You get 40 miles of cruising range or 65 kilometers. You get a hill climbing grade of 25%, a waterproof rating of IPX5, which means it's not submersible, but it can be splashed from all directions without it being an issue, so going through puddles or rain shouldn't be any problem. As far as suspension goes, you have a fork up front and dual shocks in the rear. You have 10-inch air-filled tires. You have disc brakes on both the front and the back. You get a kickstand. You get turn signals on the front and the back. The scooter weighs 54 pounds. It has a max rider weight of 264.5 pounds. As far as dimension goes, the deck you stand on is 7.5 inches wide by 20 inches long. And again, I'm just measuring the portion where your feet will most likely be. Overall, the scooter is 48 inches long, 45 inches high, and when it's in its folded state, it has a total height of 22.5 inches. One of the top features of this scooter is that it has a replaceable battery with a key. So when your battery is low, if you have a second one on charge, you can just simply unlock the current one, take that out, and continue on your journey, which is something you don't find very often. The battery capacity is 15.6. The max charging voltage is 42 volts and a charge time of 5 to 6 hours. And in the lower left hand side, you have the battery charge port. On the handlebars, you get a power button that you press to turn on. Press it twice to turn on the headlight. It shows your speed in either kilometers or miles per hour. It shows you what drive mode you're in, whether it's economy, drive, or sport. And you have bars at the bottom that show you how much battery charge is remaining. You have your rear handbrake on the left and your front handbrake on your right. You have your latch for folding and you have your throttle. On the left-hand side, you have your blinker button and you have your bell. Now to fold it, it's super easy. You just fold it right in the center, just a little clip you release and it comes down very easily. On the handlebar, you have this movable plastic latch that's on some kind of a spring. And when it folds down, it clips onto the hook that's on the back of the footboard. You get both a headlight and a tail light. You get a mobile app where you can control the headlights, gear switch, lock motor, speed limit settings, equipment information, and cruise control. And they say it's made for ages 16 to 60 and someone with a height of 4 feet to 6.5 feet tall. So now I am 6'1" and weigh 180 to 185 pounds depending on the week. So keep that in mind as we go into the ride and performance categories. All right, now before we go out on these ride and performance to check out range and everything else, let's go in and unlock this so we get the full speed. So it comes locked, so the max speed is 15 miles per hour. But what you can do is you can go in to the Rictor app. Once you're connected, you go up to the top left in the options here, go to device settings, and then you have your speed limit right here. So what you can do is you can just go here to speed setting and just crank that up all the way. That's not 40 miles per hour, that is kilometers. That'll give us the full speed. And then I'm also gonna turn off zero start. So this should accelerate as soon as I get on it. I don't have to actually push off to go. And I'll just show you the rest of the stuff here on the app right now. So you also can do cruise control. So you can make it so once you hit the max speed in your eco, drive, or sport mode, it'll lock on to cruise control. I'm gonna leave that off, but you can do that right there. You can change it from kilometers to miles per hour. So you got all kinds of settings in here that you can do to get it all set up. And then in your range here, it's gonna tell you what your total range is on it, your battery, and all of that. So you can change a lot of that stuff right here. So you get 3 modes on here. You have eco mode. If you which is like going to give you the maximum mileage. So when it says it has like 40 miles of range, that's talking about on eco mode. And so eco mode is going to be somewhere around, well, let's just see what the max speed we get on eco mode is. It's going to be somewhere around 7 miles per hour. And that's what that is right now. So 6 miles per hour is on eco mode, and that's maxed out. So also about right here is where you would see it turning on cruise control if we had that option turned on, where I can let go of the throttle and it will continue to stay on that speed. But now I'm going to put it to drive mode, the next one, by pressing it once, and we're going downhill here, and we'll see what this gets up to. Looking like 10 miles per hour. So this is going to be kind of the range that I think a lot of people are going to use. It's going to get you to your destination fairly quickly, but if you got like 10 miles or so to go, this is going to take you a while. I mean, 10 miles per hour is pretty slow, but if range is a concern, then this is the one that you're going to want to use to get yourself there. But of course, I only do anything and everything on sport mode. So let's get it into sport mode, where we should go up to what it says is 25 miles per hour. So let's get that set. Press it once. Now we're in sport mode. All right, let's see what we can do. We got a nice flat stretch here. Get onto the road. Suspension feels pretty good. So it's still on 16 miles per hour. So I did unlock it, but it's not showing that it has sent that over to the phone, or to the scooter. So I'm gonna pull over here and we're gonna try that again. Okay, so I managed to get it unlocked, and now we're able to go over the 15 miles per hour. So let's give this a shot over here as we head down this hill here. Let's see what the max speed we can get. This is a little bit downhill. So that's 22 miles per hour. This is kind of like the ideal situation, 23. Still pretty quick, but definitely not 25 miles per hour. Feels smooth at this speed too. You don't feel like a lot of wobble, like you're losing control. 24 miles per hour, 23. So we're bouncing back and forth. I'm wearing my electric unicycle helmet to cut down on the wind. Let's hit this speed bump here and just see at max speed how that feels. Pretty good. The suspension's not bad, really. It's a little stiff, which is fine for the kind of ride that we're doing. Yeah, the suspension feels pretty good. It's not the same as having like the coil suspension, so that's a little bit smoother. This feels a little stiffer on the ride, which is fine. You know, we're mostly going to be on the road, so that's fine. But you know, this motor has what they call like a turbocharged motor on it, and you do feel it. It's interesting because the motor is only 500 watts, and I have a scooter I just tested that had 650 watts, and this feels like it's not as playful, it's not as peppy, but it feels like it maintains its speed uphill better than the other. On your left. It is a very sunny day right now, and I can still see the display just fine. What we're going to do is we're going to go up here, we're going to try it on a long gravel road, see what it's like on some gravel. The other thing that I'll point out as well is on the back. I noticed just trying to stand on this, like on the back of the scooter, there's this little clip, and it doesn't allow me to really put my foot where I want to. You're always standing on the clip, so you're kind of forced to have your feet almost side by side or a little bit forward and back. Thank you. But yeah, the suspension feels really good on this uneven ground. Feels like you got lots of grip, lots of traction. Pretty soft, pretty loose gravel here. Yeah, so compact, feels good. The back suspension feels really smooth. All the little potholes and dips, it's just, yeah, no clunking, no hard hitting, not bottoming out on anything. Plenty of range there on that. So for a scooter that's like under $800, I think the acceleration is acceptable as far as like just how quickly it gets up to speed. I think where this one shines over even some more powerful scooters that I've tested is that it just maintains the power. That's the part that I can't seem to get over. You know, I'm not light, I'm not super heavy, but I'm not light, you know, 180, 185 pounds depending on the day. And again, it's been able to maintain my speed even up the hill. So we're gonna go do the hill test next. So I would say for acceleration, it's about par. It's nothing special. It's not, you're not gonna wheelie off anything. There's certainly not enough power there for that. What this wheel feels instead is incredibly planted. It feels like a safe wheel for commuting that you're not gonna have to worry about dumping at high speed. But we're gonna go up the steep hill here. It's a long, steep hill. We're gonna see how long I can maintain it. It's also gonna drain the battery a lot quicker. All right, so we'll get the speed up here. So I'm going 18 miles per hour. There's a lady and her dog. I'm gonna go in the grass. So this is pretty steep hill. I would say this is somewhere around 20-25% grade. Like, it's a pretty steep hill. We're going 15 miles per hour, which is respectable. I mean, this is steep. I've had scooters almost stop out on me on this hill. So we're going 11 right now. We're not gaining. We are holding 11. You can hear this motor too. You can hear it working. It actually has kind of a cool sound to it. So 11-12 miles per hour up this hill. You know, I mean, that's fine. It is sport mode. So this is the highest we're going to see it. The question is, though, if we can hit a faster speed, can we maintain it? So as I come around the corner here, we're at 13. Let's see if we can hold 13. So basically we didn't gain anything, we didn't lose anything up that hill, which for a hill this big, that's really not bad. And if you live in a place that has taller hills, you're probably not in, you know, this probably isn't the scooter for you. If you have like downtown Seattle area or in a city that's not a flat city, but like a hill, lots of hills steeper than this, you're gonna struggle if you're a heavier person getting up those hills. Because again, it's a 500 watt motor. It's a powerful, it's probably the most powerful 500 watt motor I've ever ridden, to be honest. But it is 500 watts. And so, but again, like I said, even 700 watts weren't going any faster than this. Even 650, last one I did was 650, and this one is still doing well. So, yep, 14 miles per hour basically on about 25% grade hill. But we're gonna go right now to a really steep hill, which is, you know, and like I say, this is almost at its max. I think 25% is what it is set for its max. We're gonna get to this other hill up here. We're gonna try it. That is a true 25 to 30% grade, and then we'll really know how well this all went. And we'll do a full test on that, which is going to be out of its range. It's not even supposed to be able to do well on it, but let's stress test it to the max and just see what it's capable of. So for part of the performance test here, we're on this track. It's like an old skate park that's just now just a track that I test a lot of scooters on. It's got turns, it's got some berms. Let's just see how well this feels for performance, because I have a feeling this is not going to be a fun on this track. This scooter does not come across as you know, kind of like a sporty scooter. Because of how planted it feels, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing, you know. It's so like here would be the first test of the brakes. So we pull the brakes hard. Okay, so the brakes work pretty well. I mean, they have 2 disc brakes, right? So it's about what you would expect. It slows down when you pull the brake in. It doesn't feel like you're gonna go flying over the handlebars. It's not jerky. It's smooth. All right, let's go downhill, do a downhill test, and then we'll try to get up that hill, which on the last scooter I did, that was 650 watts. I was only going like 4 miles per hour when I got to the top. So we'll see what this guy can do with 150 watts less going up and down the same hill. So let's head down here and we'll do a brake test first. Okay, so this is about, like I say, 35% grade hill. This is steep. So it's maintaining the speed, no problem, nice and smooth. Oh yeah, that back brake works really well. And with a little bit of that front brake in there, there's no problem controlling speed on that. Brakes are good. So from that standpoint, it's excellent. So we're gonna do a running start first because we're already going. So we're at 11 miles per hour. Okay, we're right now at probably at least 30% grade hill. I think we're down to 9. We're in sport mode, the most powerful mode. Yeah, we're not gonna make it up this. And this is, again, this is not a knock on this scooter. It's not supposed to. It's rated for 25%. I mean, we're giving this thing everything it's got. It's only got a single motor for, honestly though, like, as much as we're not gonna make this, I'm impressed we're doing this, because even on that 650 watt scooter, this right here, I was doing 4 miles per hour as well. 3. This is an impressive little motor. Oh my gosh, we are gonna make it. I cannot believe it made it up this. So impressive. But man, when you're out on just the open flat trails, the open sidewalks, the road, and all you're doing is commuting through, you know, under 20% grade hills, downhill flat, this scooter moves and it feels so planted. Your handlebars aren't jiggling everywhere. You have tons and tons of control. And wow, it is great. You just have to know what you're buying. Like, there's scooters for everybody, right? Like, there's different kinds of scooters. And you just gotta make sure you're getting one that fits you. Yeah, like you're not, like that right there was an example. This was a little bit of a rut, kind of in some dirt and stuff. Because they're not huge, they do, you know, and they're not big threads or anything. These are street tires. You're gonna, you know, that can be where you get yourself in a little bit of trouble. But the suspension, when it hits something, you know, it's gonna absorb a lot of that. Even though it's not a ton of suspension, there's enough there. Let's take a look at the blinkers in the daylight. So here we have your blinker button, go left. And you can see on here, it does show there's a blinker on. And when we look at the front, you can see that it is on, but it is incredibly dim. Like if you're looking at me coming onto you, yeah, you can see that in the shade. In the sunlight, it'll be a little bit harder. On the back, they're not nearly, they're much brighter in the back. Yeah, I think they're sufficient. I know some people in the reviews are saying that they weren't, but they're not terrible. Now let's see if we can do the dirt hill test coming out here, out of this trail, up that deal there. So far, I haven't had any of these scooters under 700 watts make it up this hill, but this guy's kind of a beast. So we got it in sport mode. Let's get after it and just see if we can do her. It did about the same as all the others. Okay, so I think from a performance standpoint, this is a commuter beast. This guy's got excellent range, especially if you're riding in the economy or drive mode. Even for smaller trips that are, you know, 5 miles, you know, there, 5 miles back, sport mode's gonna have plenty of range to get you there, you know, and get you there a lot quicker. I think that the 500 watt motor is a very capable 500 watt motor. I do think when it says it's turbocharged that it does feel more powerful than the other 500 watt motor scooters that I've tested. I think the dual suspension back here is sufficient, but it is a little bit stiff and it's not very playful. You don't find yourself wanting to jump off things, but when you're going on rough roads like the gravel road we were on with potholes and all that, I think that was perfectly fine. So as far as safety goes, a lot of these scooters are pretty, I mean, they're built to be fairly safe within the speed that they're capable of going. You're not gonna be taking the scooter off jumps, and so none of that stuff really comes into play. For what it's built for, it's very safe. As I mentioned, it's very planted. You don't feel any squirming or anything. It's a very strong steering stem. You don't feel like anything's rattling or hearing any noise. The suspension is plush enough that it absorbs the little bumps of the sidewalks. You can go on and off sidewalks without any problem. As far as the wheels go, they seem fine. They're definitely made for street. They don't have hardly any tread on them. So, you know, even though I was on that loose gravel road and that was fine, that's about the extent of where you'd want to take it. The wheels also feel fine on wet pavement, which I did quite a bit of testing in as well. With the IPX5 rating, it does handle water just fine, and I didn't have any problems with the riding I did. There are a lot of reflectors all the way around the scooter. You get the 2 on the sides and the back, as well as the tail light that's always on, and then you have the front reflector on this side here. I've heard a few people mention they thought that the headlight, you know, was a little bit too dim, and maybe it is for some people. I found I was still able to see. I don't know that it's really any worse than any others in this price range, so I don't know if I can really call that a con or not. I do like how it comes with a max speed of 15 miles per hour, so you can really get used to the scooter before you do go into the app and actually turn it up to the full 40 kilometers you're allowed to do, or 22 to 23 miles per hour. So as far as safety goes, I think for what you're buying it for what it's built for, it's got, you know, it checks all those boxes. The worst thing where people get in trouble with these scooters is when you're going really fast and they feel squirrely, like you shouldn't even be going 20 miles per hour, and you just don't get that feel at all with this one. So as far as cons go, there's only a couple cons for me. And again, some of these are preferences, some of them are just like build quality concerns. The first one is down here, this is the charge port. And typically the charge ports are located you know, down on the side here, and you have a big rubber plug that you put into there. And you know you gotta put that plug in. Like, it's not like it does it for you automatically. But look at this one. So this is designed way up higher off of the road, which is good. That actually helps to keep less stuff from spraying on it and water to hit it, which is a great thing. The only concern that I have, and this might not even be a concern, is that this is a spring on it. So when you pull it out, when you unplug it, naturally you just sort of let the door close. But that's not sealed. That's sealed. And so my concern is that if we're riding and we're thinking that this is fully IPX5, I'm waterproof for splashes from all angles, but it's sitting like this, there's a chance some water could get in there. And so it's just a matter of remembering to push this close. Now you have to do that anyway with the normal scooter, you know, sealing up the thing down there, except there's no spring there, so you know you have to, you don't just leave it. So that's the only thing that I think maybe that's a concern of it. The next is this clip, like I mentioned, you know, it really removes the ability to use this back plate right here for your foot, or I really like having up there. You can't, you know, there's not enough room on either side of this to really put your foot, so you do have to kind of put it right on that area, and it's just weird, it's kind of uncomfortable. I know it looks sleeker to kind of have it come in like this, but if it just was a little bit more squared off, we'd have more room to put our ankle on both sides. But again, if you're just riding up on this area, there's a good chance that's not even really a concern for you at all. And I had a great time on it. My feet do fit on here. I have size 11 feet, and they do fit on here just fine. The next thing is with how this folds down. I've never really been a huge fan with them folding crossways. You've got this plastic clip right here that it clips onto, and the first time that I did this, I tried to pick it up and it wasn't quite on there correctly, because it does pick up a little bit crooked. You're not centered on it. You're a little bit to the side. So when you pick it up, you can see it tilts it right off the bat, and it's just kind of awkward for carrying it. So you end up carrying it up here where you're more centered, but then your weight is not distributed this way. So you want to grab it here, but it just twists on you. So it's one of those things you could get used to in a day. Like, it's not the end of the world, but I definitely like the designs better that have a little clip here in the middle that goes straight down so you can just grab and lift it up. And I also just realized that my front lens is cracked. Look at this. This is just kind of a soft plastic. It's probably really easy to replace, but there's a big crack running all along it right here. That's a bummer. So next it comes down to value. Is it worth the money? Now, this scooter right now only costs $499, and if you use my code down below, you get an extra 20 bucks off. I mean, hey, but something. But for a scooter under $500, I would say hands down, it's worth it. It's worth it if you're a commuter trying to go to work. It's worth it if you live near a city, or you just like getting out there on the countryside and viewing something. If you're just wanting to go on pretty flat, mostly pavement type ground, this scooter is going to do the job for you. Who the scooter is not for, and who you'd be disappointed if you bought it, is if you're someone who likes to do something playful. You like to jump off curbs and do wheelies and, you know, off of different things like that. It just doesn't have the torque for that, and the geometry of it is not built to make it that way. This is designed to be planted and safe when you're going down the road, on sidewalks, on walking paths. That's who this scooter is designed for. So it's like any of these scooter products. You could buy the wrong one and not think it's worth the money, but if you buy the right one for the right purpose, you're gonna love it. And this one has the power. Like I said, it got me up that crazy hill that it really had no business getting me up with a 500 watt motor. I think if you're that person, this is gonna be a great scooter. If you have any other questions, I'll put the link down below in the description. You guys can go down there and get more information, or ask me in the comments. I'd be glad to answer any questions you have. I want to thank Rictor again for sending the scooter out for review. I'm excited to start doing this kind of stuff on the channel. I've been a Tesla channel for 5 years, and it's nice now to finally bring in some other forms of electronic transportation. I love all this kind of technology. It's a super blast. And so thank you, Rictor. Awesome scooter.